With public demand for large-screen smartphones growing, even established players like Apple and Google have been forced to react. And Xiaomi is no different. Their reaction is the Mi Note. Packing in the same internals as the Mi 4 while sporting a larger display and surprisingly, a smaller battery, the Mi Note is a peculiar device. So in this video, let's take a look at the Mi Note in detail, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if this is your first time here, in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, this is C4E Tech, and you're watching my full review of the Xiaomi Mi Note. Let's get started. As good as Xiaomi's build quality has been, it's always felt a little inspired. This time around, Xiaomi's come up with something that they could call their own. We've got metal to the sides, the 3.5mm headphone jack and secondary noise cancelling microphone sit on top, the power button and the volume rockers to the right, a micro USB port and a grill for the speaker and the primary microphone at the bottom, and a dual SIM card slot to the left. To the front, on top, we have the sensors, notification LED, earpiece, 4-megapixel front-facing camera, lower below, a 5.7-inch display, and a trio of capacitive keys at the bottom. Note that the front is covered by 2.5D Gorilla Glass 4, meaning it curves subtly to the sides. To the back, we have a 13-megapixel rear camera with a dual LED flash, and at the bottom, Mi branding. The back is covered by 3D Gorilla Glass 4, meaning the sides curve a lot. Picture the Galaxy S6 Edge, but in reverse. Overall, the Mi Note looks great, feels well constructed, the buttons feel tactile, and at 6.95mm, it's pretty slim. It's still large and single-handed usage is not going to be possible at most times, but despite the 161 gram weight, it doesn't feel really unwieldy. But then again, like most phones with glass to the back, you're going to have to be a little more careful with the handling. Anyway, the Mi Note sports a 5.7-inch Full HD IPS LCD display, giving it a pixel density of 386 pixels per inch. Well, most flagships these days are sporting Quad HD displays. Full HD here means performance should be better, as the GPU is pushing fewer pixels and should help with battery life as well. More on both in a bit. Anyway, don't get me wrong here, this is a great display. It's sharp enough, produces colors accurately, the blacks are very black, among the best I've seen on a non-AMOLED display. There's no color shifting at different angles, and this is bright, meaning sunlight legibility is good. Now moving on, underneath the hood, the Mi Note, just like the Mi 4, is powered by a Snapdragon 801 SoC. That's 4 Cray 400 cores clocked at 2.5 GHz each, coupled with an overclocked Adreno 330 GPU and 3 gigs of RAM. Though the Snapdragon 801 feels a little dated by this point, it still performs well, runs pretty much anything thrown at it with ease. We tested quite a few intensive games on the Mi Note and it ran them very smoothly. The audio output via the single downwards facing speaker was quite loud and clear, much louder than on the Mi 4. Audio playback via the 3.5mm headphone jack was pretty good too. It's worth noting that the IR blaster has gone off and there's still no NFC or microSD support here. Moving on, let's talk about the cameras, the 13-megapixel rear camera. With optical image stabilization on board, this camera performs very well. Images shot with it retain a good amount of detail, colors are mostly accurate, the dynamic range is good, it's quick to focus and the shutter speed's fast too. The UI is similar to what we've seen with the Mi 4 in the past. We have 3 panes, common filters to the right, the modes to the left. The manual mode does give you an extra bit of control, the cog icon right below gives you access to more options. Pretty simple, but still gives you a lot of options. The Mi Note can also shoot 4K video at 30 frames per second and the resulting footage is good. Again, just like with still images, there's plenty of detailed result, everything's sharp, the footage is smooth thanks to OIS on board, and the frame rate stable. The 4-megapixel front camera with its 2-micron pixel size is reminiscent of HTC's ultra-pixel camera. This is a great front-facing camera and comes into its own when under not-so-great lighting conditions. It's worth noting that it lacks autofocus though. The Mi Note runs on Android 4.4 KitKat with Xiaomi's custom MIUI 6 on top. MIUI lacks an app drawer and the flat design feels a little derivative, but it's extremely customizable nonetheless. With the Themes app, say for example, you can change every aspect of this UI. You could even take individual aspects from themes and mix and match, say use the icons from theme 1, the lock screen from theme 2 and so on. MIUI is also quite user-friendly and intuitive. Some basic functionality like the way you manage icons on the home screen makes you question why isn't this a stock Android feature. It's also quite smart. Again, say for example, MIUI ensures that unimportant notifications don't interrupt you while say you're gaming or writing an email, but important ones do. At the same time, it also lets you tinker around with almost anything. You can enable or disable floating notifications on a per app basis. So if MIUI thinks an app is unimportant, you can go ahead and tell it, no, this is important, I want to be disturbed. There's also a robust security app on board that lets you manage permissions, scan for viruses, remove junk files, manage your battery settings, and a lot more. Xiaomi has also included a lot of their own apps, and these generally work well and also look great. There are also quite a few tricks that MIUI has up its sleeve, whether it's changing your boot animation or uninstalling a bunch of apps very quickly. There's a lot of attention to detail shown here. MIUI 6 on the Mi Note is very smooth and stable. Apps open up quick without any lag. The Mi Note is very responsive and multitasks with ease. So far so good. But here's the twist. Folks over at Xiaomi seem to have overlooked a very simple rule when it comes to smartphones. Battery capacities are directly proportional to display sizes. If you increase the display size, you need to increase the battery capacity. That's pretty simple, isn't it? The Mi Note is powered by a non-user replaceable 3000 mAh battery. Now that's 80 mAh smaller than the one on the Mi 4, but the display has grown to 5.7 inches from 5 inches on the Mi 4. So as expected, the Mi Note's battery fails to impress. On a looping video playback test, the Mi Note barely lasted 7 hours before running out of juice. My Mi 4 on the other hand lasts a little over 10 hours. But then again, the battery life is okay. I'm not gonna call it bad since the Mi Note, the battery drain on standby is very low. It's little to non-existent, so it does manage to get me through a day of light to moderate usage quite easily. But then again, I don't think any of us would have minded the phone being an extra millimeter thick if it meant a larger battery. Now, barring an obsession with Apple and wanting to make their phablet slimmer than the iPhone 6 Plus, I really don't see any other sane reason to do this. If you can think of one, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Anyway, moving on, let's now talk about the price. The Mi Note is priced at about $375 US for the 16 gig variant and $455 for the 64 gig variant. Like I said at the start of this video, the Mi Note is a peculiar device. This is what I had to say about the Mi 4 in my original review. The Mi 4, in my honest opinion, is still a must-buy. It can go toe-to-toe with almost any flagship out there and manage to do that while sporting a much lower price tag. Now, if you managed to track down my review of the Mi 3 or the Mi Pad, I'd probably have said something similar. But for the first time with Xiaomi, this is not the case. First off, the Mi Note isn't really competing with flagships here. The Mi Note Pro would be the one doing that. Thanks to the Snapdragon 801 inside, the Mi Note is competing with year-old flagships from major brands. And remember, these devices have received numerous price cuts. The LG G3, the Galaxy S5, the HTC One M8, these are phones that, while priced similarly, provide support for NFC, microSD, and offer much better battery performance. Now, don't get me wrong here, the Mi Note has its own advantages over the aforementioned devices. I'm just saying, price for the first time is not going to be a deciding factor for people considering this Xiaomi device. So that being said, the Mi Note, despite its flaws, is still a good phone. It does offer good value for money, but not quite as good a value as its predecessors. But that's just one guy's opinion here. What do you guys think? Do you feel Xiaomi should have included a higher capacity battery? Do you think the Mi Note should have been priced lower? Your thoughts on the lack of NFC and especially microSD? Let me know them in the comments below. If you do want to pick a Mi Note up, it's not available out of China yet, so you could get one from XiaomiWorld.com. I'll leave a link along with the discount code in the description below. The discount code's currently C4eTech and it's for $5 off. I'll update the description if or when it changes. So with that, we get to the end of this review. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you found it useful. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up, share this video, and for more videos like this, do stay subscribed. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4eTech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.